Hey, this is Rob Caggiano from Volbeat, and you are watching Toasted. Fire it up.
Welcome to FortaRock, man.
Thank you.
New album out. The figures are amazing. I mean, number nine in the Billboard 200.
Yeah, it's pretty surreal actually. It feels good though.
Yeah, I can imagine. You did a lot of the production, right?
Yeah, yeah. We're really proud of the record, and the shows have been great. So it's been awesome so far.
Because you've been touring this album for a couple of months now, right?
Yeah. Since I say well, and like mid-February, we did a handful of dates in Denmark, and that was my first run with the guys, and then we took it to the States. We did two runs there, and now we're doing the Europe thing. So yeah.
How's the band actually going down the States? I mean, selling so many records obviously is fantastic, but it must be tough for a Danish-based band to break the States, right?
It's been phenomenal. Like the every show is great. So there's a lot of excitement, a lot of just a lot of energy. In the crowd. When we're playing, and it just feels great. The rooms are all they go crazy. So it's good.
What sort of venues do you play in the States, actually?
Um, say it's between 2 and 5,000 right now. Yeah, it's cool. It's loud.
We were actually already in the band when Volbeat was playing the Warsaw heavy metal thing, where like famous festival where 400, 500,000 metal fans every year come. Were you playing in the band then?
No, no.
Have you ever played there?
I played in Warsaw.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did the Big Four show there, the first one. So yeah.
How did you get involved in Volbeat? Because I mean, that's special.
You know, when this it feels weird even saying it again because I've explained it so many times. But when I left Anthrax and made that decision, um, these guys called me up. Michael gave me a call to see if I was interested in producing the new Volbeat record, and you know, instantly I was excited about that opportunity. And a couple of days later, it just happened so quick. But a couple of days after that phone call, I was in. I flew to Denmark and met with the guys, sat down with Michael, and started going over the tunes. And the vibe was just great, and the chemistry was great. And it just kind of, we started tracking drums, and it was about 2 weeks into the process is when they asked me to if I'd be interested in joining the band, and it took me by surprise, obviously, because I'm not Danish, you know. But I love the music, I love the guys, and I told them, I said, let me sleep on this tonight. This is a lot to think about. I was in the control room, just frazzled by something, and then that's when Michael came up to me. We were in the studio, and it was just like, wow, okay. And I thought about it that night, and I came to the conclusion that this was an amazing opportunity. And the next morning we went in breakfast at the breakfast table, and we started talking about it again. I was like, all right, I'm in, fire it up.
And then hell broke loose.
Yeah, and it's just it's been awesome, because at that point I went from looking at the record, from a producer's perspective, to now being the guitar player in the band, and it enabled me to it enabled us to go down some different roads that we probably wouldn't have if I wasn't the guitar player. Just trying different things and just having fun in the studio.
This album, I mean, I was listening to it a lot. The production is fantastic. It's really good. I can imagine that it's tough to approach your record company and tell them we want to do this record, because loads of guest musicians, different styles, really loud songs, really melodic stuff.
Hmm. It's just the Volbeat sound is just kind of a mix of all these classic things and influences, and I think that's what makes it so much fun. And I think this new record goes right along with that. It's a very diverse album. You got rockabilly stuff, you got metal stuff. I mean, King Diamond is on the record. I mean,
How did that go? Was he actually in the studio to record that song?
I wish he was. You know, he did his vocals in Texas at his own place. You know, he was more comfortable with that, and it's fine. You know, he did his thing, and it was we when he sent us the tracks, we listened to it, and it was just we all got goosebumps. It was perfect.
Because when I read that, like King Diamond is on this song, I was like, okay, well, what can you expect actually?
Yeah, you know, he's been a he's been a huge influence on all of us. You know, and of course, you know, these guys, they're all obviously from Copenhagen. There's that connection as well with King Diamond. But for me, you know, growing up, he was always a huge influence, and I think Abigail is still to this day. I think it's one of the best metal albums ever. I still listen to it. It's in my phone actually right now.
So working with that, I mean, that's a magic moment right there. But there are other guest musicians on there that I would never expect, like Paul Lamb.
That guy blew us away, man. He came in. I've never heard anyone play harp like that. Like, it was just absolutely jaw dropping. He was making sounds and noises with this thing that phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal.
Whose idea was it to approach him to be on the record? I mean, he played with the Who, he played with, but I mean, with a loud band like Volbeat.
Yeah, you know, we knew we wanted to have some harp on the record. We didn't know who could do it. You know, I know a few guys in New York, but we were recording in Denmark, so it was just kind of like, all right, who do we get to do this? And I think someone suggested Paul Lamb to Michael, and he checked it out on YouTube, and then he forwarded me some links and stuff. I was like, wow, okay, this guy he's the real deal, you know. And so I guess management reached out to him, and he was real into it. Super nice guy, really cool.
He was in the studio.
Yeah, he was in the studio. We had fun with him. He was cool.
He's on a lot of tracks actually, right? Like 4 or 5.
He's on, I think it's 4 tracks, either 3 or 4 tracks.
So I mean, I can imagine you come up with this idea, like let's get this guy in to play harps on one song, and it probably turned out that well that you used him on way more.
Well, that's the thing. You know, we knew there was one song in particular that we wanted him on, and you know, he came in, he banged it out, and then we were like, all right, this guy's here, and he's amazing. Let's see if we could put him on some other stuff. And you know, there's the album intro. It's called "Let's Shake Some Dust." That's actually something that the day that Paul arrived at the studio, you know, again we were at the breakfast table, and there's an acoustic guitar in the corner, and I just picked it up and started jamming this thing, and you know, I kind of came up with that on the spot. You know, Michael and I started messing around with it, and then so you know, it was already in my head. But when we tracked the first tune with Paul, I just had the idea of, wow, you know, maybe we should record this stupid little thing we were jamming this morning, and you know, maybe the harp would be cool on that. So we did a really quick version of that on the acoustic guitar. I just laid down a scratch track and to a click track, and then Paul played to that. We just did a bunch of takes and all this amazing stuff, and then I went back and redid the acoustic part and put his harp tracks together, and it came out awesome, you know. That was really fun because it was so unexpected and so spur of the moment, you know.
Is it like, I think there are a lot of potential hit songs on the album. One that I really like is "Cape of Our Hero." I think that's a really catchy tune. Do you realize when you record and write a song like that you have something really special there?
You know, it's hard to say. You know, with the record like this, you know, every song felt awesome. You know, it felt like it was going to be a really cool record right from the beginning, right from when I first heard, you know, a lot of the new riffs and a lot of the new material. Yeah, I was excited from the beginning to the end.
Another song that I really like is the one with Sarah Blackwood on it. She's from Dubstar, of course. She's also famous in her own right. How did you hook up with her?
We reached out to her, and she was, I guess, a Volbeat fan, and she was definitely interested in doing it. And then we sent her, you know, a similar thing with King Diamond. We sent her the tracks, and she did it at her, I think it was her brother's studio in Toronto, and she nailed it. Totally brought that song to life.
When listening to that song, I was like, actually, a lot of songs have these weird combinations which have a sound that could be a band in its own right. I mean, Volbeat with a female singer would work as well.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Because it's not just two different voices coming together, it is an entire sound.
Yeah, and I think that goes along with what I was saying before. All the different influences and different sounds, mixed together. That's what makes Volbeat, fun. And that song in particular, "Lonesome Rider," is, if you listen to that on its own, it's it's very different to everything else on the record. But in context, it works really well. It's got the rockabilly thing. There's a stand-up bass on there, Stray Cats kind of vibe. It totally stands out. But like I said, in the context of the whole album, it works really well.
Now, I mean, you quit Anthrax, of course, probably because you were fed up with playing, touring, and doing the same old, same old.
No.
No.
No, it had nothing to do with not wanting to tour. I love touring. I mean, it's part of who I am. It was more about being happy, and I just got to a point where I felt like I was spinning my wheels, and almost kind of felt like I was on a conveyor belt, so to speak, and I just it was a really emotional thing, and it was a really hard decision for me to make, because again, I love those guys, and we were together for a long time, and I'm so proud of everything that we did together and accomplished. It's some amazing times we had. But I don't know if it's because I'm getting older or whatever, but it just got to a point where I just wasn't happy, and I just felt like I needed a change. And I guess it's a pretty normal human feeling, just talking to different people and talking to friends about it. I guess it's a pretty common thing to go through that in life, but that's what happened, and I it's something I've been thinking about for a while, and I finally just went for it, and now here we are. It's crazy how everything happened, but I'm super excited. I'm super happy about everything right now. So
Yeah, it must be weird because that was the point I was trying to make. Like, you leave this one band, probably waiting for some rest. Suddenly you're in another band, which is probably bigger in its own right, probably.
well, I just kind of when that whole thing went down, I just in my head, I didn't have any kind of plan really, so to speak, but I just kind of figured that I would, jump back into the studio and produce some records for a little while until I figured out my next move as a guitar player and as a musician. And just the way it went down, I didn't expect it to go to, all this stuff to happen, at once. But I'm really glad it did.
Well, we're glad too that you made this fantastic record. Hey, talking about records, of course, you experienced a time when bands would still record CDs or albums that would really sell. I mean, and now a lot of bands actually need to tour to make money because CDs don't sell anymore, albums don't sell anymore. You guys, of course, sell 100,000 records, which is amazing nowadays. I mean, 10 years ago that would have been a couple of million probably. Is it still worthwhile for bands to make albums, and why are you successful doing it?
Yeah, it's. I think today the music business is in such of it's in a state of flux, I guess is what is a good way to say it. But things are changing, times are changing. I don't know how long the CD format's going to be around, to be honest. I hear rumors all the time they're going to stop making CDs, and it's all going to go digital. I mean, streaming, the whole Spotify thing. I mean, nobody really knows where it's all going, where it's going to end up. A lot of people have their theories and their ideas. I've thought about it a bunch, and I don't really know, to be honest. But we're just doing what we do. As a musician, that's all you can really do is make music that you're proud of and you're excited about, and if the fans dig it and people buy it or people show up at a concert or whatever, that's what makes it worthwhile. That's why we do this.
Must be a tough sound to recreate live, though, this album.
Tough sound to recreate?
Live, yeah. Lots of layers, lots of musicians.
Well, we haven't been playing, like, for example, a song like Lonesome Rider. We haven't really been playing that live. I'd love to at some point. But just because it's such a special tune with stand-up bass, and obviously Sarah Blackwood. Hopefully, we will be able to do that live, with Sarah. That would be phenomenal. And also the King Diamond track, that would be awesome too. I know we talked about it a little bit with him.
Is there a chance that you guys ever will hook up playing Texas?
I think there's a chance. It just hasn't happened yet, but we'll see. Oh, I mean, we would love to do that.
What are there plans? I mean, are there? You guys are.
I mean, of course, of course, we talked about it. We kicked off the first leg of the U.S. tour in Texas, and King was at the show, and we talked. Yeah, we talked about it a little bit in the dressing room. I don't think any of us were ready to play that particular song that night, but hopefully it'll happen soon. I think it would be killer. I think the fans would really, really go nuts for that too.
Actually, it would be cool if you would have all the guests musicians on tour one time at the same gig.
We talked to Paul Lamb about it as well, and he was totally up for it. So we'll see. It could be something cool down the road.
Hey, you're touring now with the band. You just recorded this killer record, produced it. Any new records and new music, new plans, new bands that you're producing or working with? New songs you're writing?
I mean, I'm writing riffs all the time, but right now it's there's no other records, no other bands. It's just we're all in Volbeat mode right now, and it's really intense. The touring schedule and the traveling and everything. It's just very, very full on. So there's really no time for anything else right now. At some point, we'll see if things open up a little bit. There might be another Damn Things record possibly in the future, but that all depends. Obviously, that band's a bit of a scheduling nightmare just because of all the other stuff that everyone has going on. But yeah, maybe at some point.
One more last thing. Do you still live in New York, or I mean,
I do.
You just travel the world all the time, probably? Right?
Yeah, I don't really know what that means, living in New York, because I'm never home, ever. I haven't been home in like 7 years. So, but yeah, I mean,
is your cat's still alive, actually?
I don't have cats. But no, I do have a place in New York City. It is my home, but I'm never there. Basically, I live on a tour bus.
You like it? It's heavy, right? Living on the. I mean, 7 years on the road.
What's really nuts is I can't. Lately, I don't know what's going on with me, but I can't sleep unless I'm on a tour bus. When I'm in a hotel or when I'm home, it's just. I think what I need to do is I need to get a bed that looks like a bunk or a tour bus or something, because yeah, it's just weird. I guess it's something with the motion, just being on a moving vehicle. I sleep like a baby on a tour bus. I just woke up actually.
I couldn't tell. You did. Hey, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you, man.
Cheers.